Hi, how do you say to know in Dutch? Well, either you use weten or kennen. And when do you use which one? Well, that's the topic of this video. To make it really easy, weten relates to information or facts, while kennen relates to be familiar with something or things that you've seen before or you're recognizing. All right. If you know French, for example, kennen means connaître and weten means savoir. Or if you know any other Roman languages, feel free to try to translate these in an online dictionary, and then you will directly know the difference. However, if you do not know French or other languages that make this distinction, you'll have to continue watching this video. Let's go for a really simple example. Ik weet hoeveel 1 plus 1 is. I know how much 1 plus 1 is. And hij kent mij. He knows me. The first one is a simple fact. It's some sort of information. 1 plus 1, that's a fact. So then we're going to use weten. However, hij kent mij, he knows me. Me, I'm a person. I'm not a fact or I'm not any information. No, I'm a person. So with people, you will always use kennen. All right? For example, he is familiar with me. He's my friend. So hij kent mij. Another example, in the negative. Ik weet het niet. I don't know. And ik ken hem niet. I don't know him. Ik weet het niet, a very useful phrase when someone asks you a question and you didn't understand. You can just say, ik weet het niet. And then you will be right, because this relates to facts or information or a small piece of information. Ik ken hem niet, I don't know him. As you remember, I don't know him. Him, that's a person. So we're going to use kennen. Good. However, it gets a little bit more complicated. Weten can be used with subclauses, whereas kennen, no. For example, ik ken hem, ik ken hem, or ik weet wie hij is. I know him, I know who he is, and you're using a different verb here. Well, yes, because weten can be used with subclauses. I know who, that introduces another little sentence called subclause. I know who he is. So the who he is a subclause, so we're going to use weten. And basically, well, they mean more or less the same. I know him, I know who he is. Well, I know who he is. There's a little bit more of a distance between you and him. You maybe know, it's my neighbor's son. I know who he is, but I never really spoke. So then you're going to use ik weet wie hij is. And ik ken hem. Well, yeah. And here you're already feeling we're blurring a bit the line between kennen and weten, and it's true. There's not always a big difference between kennen and weten. Same so for this example. Weet je veel over Antwerpen? Or ken je Antwerpen goed? Do you know a lot about Antwerpen? Or about Antwerp, sorry. It's a common mistake. People say Antwerp instead of Antwerpen. Antwerpen is the city. Antwerp is the football club. So there's a distinction between both of them. But okay, that's not really relevant here. So, weet je veel over Antwerpen? Or ken je Antwerpen goed? Do you know a lot about Antwerp? Or do you know Antwerp well? In the first case, you cannot use kennen. Why? Because they both mean the same, but with the first one, the stress is on the information. Do you know a lot, like a lot of information about Antwerp? And the second one is, are you familiar with Antwerp? Obviously, there's not really a big difference between those two. Other two interesting cases. Ze kennen de leerstof. They know the study materials. You'll be like, wait, study materials, that's information, right? Yes, but what you intending to say here is they are familiar with the material. They've studied the material. And when you study something, then it's more than just information and facts. You become familiar with the study material. Same so for the next one here. Ze kent de procedures. She knows the procedures. Yeah, she became familiar with the procedures. And the last example is ik weet de weg and ik ken de weg. Here, the distinction, I know the way, they both mean I know the way. Here, the distinction is completely gone because the way is information, but it's also something you're familiar with. So there isn't much of a difference between the two, and you can use actually both to say I know the way. Alright, so remember, weten relates to facts and information, kennen to be familiar with, and sometimes you can use both. The difference between both isn't that big in some cases. If you want to make exercises and have extra information, written information about this, feel free to join my channel and become a member. You can do so by clicking the join button via the link in the description below. See you there!